Okay, we are up. So now what we'll do is we'll just wait for people to join us, and then once we join us, then we're gonna begin. And then we're
Perfect.
gonna, yeah, this is exciting.
Perfect.
Okay, and thank you for joining me tonight. This is so fun, Allison. So I totally miss seeing you on our Wednesday morning breakfasts. Of course, I crazily missed this week, so I didn't see your lovely face, but it's nice to see you at night.
Well, ditto. This is fantastic. And I have to say, it's wonderful that you're doing this and that you are showcasing the people that you work with and the people that you network with, because this is how we all, help each other in business. And this is how we all learn more about what others know and what we can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, totally agree. Because it's not everybody, especially no matter what you're doing, it's like everything is based on referrals. Because it's like even just doing my renovation here, it's like I was able to tap into people that I know and have trusted over the years, and their resources, right? So yeah, this has been I totally am enjoying this too. This is fun. So thank you.
Fun. It is.
It
Well,
is
thank
fun.
you again. A great
Yeah.
idea.
Awesome. My pleasure. Well, Allison, I have known you, gosh, many, many years. We've been networked at our BNG networking group for many years.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to for the people that have joined us, I'm going to let you introduce yourself so they can find out more about you, because I know lots about you.
Perfect. Thank you, Gail. So my name is Allison Donnelly, and my company is Burloak Homestaging and Design, and I specialize in interior design and home staging services. I've been doing this for 20 years, and the design side is definitely something that I'm doing much more of now. The staging side is great, and I do a lot of consultations, work with real estate professionals who need consultations for their clients just to know how they can secure equity in their homes and make it look its absolute best, so that potential home buyers focus on the assets of the house. But also, if you have a property, if someone has a property, an investment property or their own home, and they're going to be listing it in a vacant state, so no furnishings, I can help bring those things in. And that's fantastic. It's a great service, and it really does help show the property for its true potential and gives an emotional connect to the potential home buyer.
Absolutely.
The design side, the reason I enjoy that so much, and I love staging too, but design is fun because we work with clients and bring out their personalities. So
awesome.
Gail, great example for you, having had a recent change and moving into a new home. You're moving into a space that you did not create, but now you want to make it your own, and you want to custom suit it to your lifestyle and make it look and feel like you. And that's where the help of a design professional comes in. We can do anything from window coverings and new flooring, lighting, artwork, new furnishings, reupholstering your existing furnishings, helping you with a layout. How are you going to fit the furnishings into the house and make it flow and work, function properly?
Yeah.
What if you're renovating and you're changing finishes and you need to help selecting tiles and quartz and all of those good things? I help with that too. And it can be anything from a one-time consultation as simple as paint colors right through to renovation planning.
Which is so amazing, because it's as much as we can look at it on TV and go, oh, it looks so easy. It's really not, right? And I am speaking from this. You came to my house a couple of years ago when I knew what I was looking to do the changes, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with furniture. I needed new one in placement and colors and such. And we did. I think we spent a couple hours that afternoon and we figured it out. And based on couches, you helped me pick out the coloring, because I was on the fence. I couldn't commit.
It's fair. And you know what? That's great too. And that it is, when it's not what you do every day, it's overwhelming. I don't know much about mortgages, and thank goodness we have professionals like you, because this is where we do what we do well, and we trust the others who do it well, and we lean on them, right? And so I appreciate that, and it is amazing what you can accomplish when you sit down with someone who knows what they're doing. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So what do you have a specific product, or maybe that's not I'm not going to ask the right thing, but what is your favorite part of the design? Or do you have one? Because I imagine it varies as well.
No, that's a great question, Gail. There are a lot of aspects I like. I'll say my favorite part, and probably why I like design a little bit more, is because when I'm working with clients, it's longer term. So I have clients that I've had now for almost 15 years, and amazing. I know their preferences, and we've grown together, and it's easy to work with them on that side, because our tastes change over the years, but there are certain characteristics and certain styles that we tend to stick to. And so that works beautifully. So I will say the relationship side and the face-to-face side is what I love. And that's kind of tricky right now. It's a little different.
Right?
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
But
I agree.
that's it. And the discovery process. So working with a new client and figuring out what are their preferences, what do they like, and how can we create a beautiful space? We can create a beautiful space for anyone, but is it going to feel like their own? And that's probably the most fun part. It's a great question. Thank you.
I think that's you know, how true is that though? Because most people are going to go by what they see on TV or maybe at somebody's at a friend's house or something, but it might not be what their energy is for their house or what they're used to. So that, because if they try to like duplicate that, it potentially isn't good. It could backfire.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
And you know what? A simple example
Yep.
of that, many, many times over the years, I've had a client call and say, or even a potential client, a new client say, I saw this fabulous paint color at my neighbor's home and it was great. And I brought it over here and we painted and it looks awful.
Right.
And it's because the exposure is different, their furnishings are different, their lighting is different. So sometimes we see things that we think are going to work and we think it's easy peasy and it's not. And it's like you said, what works for one person may not work for another, even though it's the same paint on the same chip. The house
Exactly.
is different, the exposure is different. The furnishings that you've selected around it are different. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun. I was actually just talking with somebody about that. I think last week. As crazy as that sounds, it was all based on the lighting. You know what? It's like when you looked at this side of the wall, you could tell that it was a green, but then when you looked at this side, it almost looked black, and it was all based on the way the lighting. But people could argue that it's not the same color, but it truly is. It's all based on the lighting. It's quite interesting. Color is quite unique, isn't it?
It is. It is multifaceted for sure.
Absolutely. And aren't we finding right now, based on isolation, like I know we're getting a little bit more out there again now, right?
Sure.
Which is nice. But I'm finding you're spending more time on now, I think we're finding home renovations, whether that just be a facelift or a major renovation and everything else in between, because people are spending more time in their homes, right? So now they're looking at that color going, yeah, maybe not.
True.
Maybe not.
Yeah, that's one of the things I thought someone said to me recently. What do you think people are thinking about as they've been in their homes more because of COVID-19? What do you think that they're looking to do? And I think one of the key things you've just indicated there is paint color. We look around and we think, this is nice, but maybe it's a little bit outdated. Or if we are watching the TV programs, we're seeing the trend colors and maybe thinking we'd like to implement those. And
how would they work, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
That. Yeah.
Yes. Now I think we talk about this often as well, is that some people think that going to the store and getting the color and putting it on the walls, it's no big deal until you actually see it and you're like, yeah, that's not it.
Right.
And what's your thought on recommending a consultation prior?
Fair. And that's it, because what I worry about and what I've heard many times over the years is you go to the paint store, and granted, lean on your paint store, lean on your local paint store, because they do often have paint professionals behind the counters who do a fabulous job. The hardest part there though is they've not been into your home, or they don't know your overall style. And so when we select a paint color, we're always thinking of, again, the exposure of the room, right? Is it north facing? How does that impact the color? If it's your bathroom, what's the undertone in the tile of your bathroom, right? And how is that going to influence the color? What is going to reflect on the color? The person at the paint store, regrettably, and you yourself, can't know that exactly. So a paint color consultation is a great way to go, in that it is very cost effective. And what it allows you to do is select one or many, many colors for your home. All rooms, indoor, outdoor, right? Outdoor colors are very tricky. There's a lot of considerations there too. And the cost of it is much more affordable than paying a professional to repaint it because you didn't like the color.
Agreed.
Or
Agreed.
or repainting it yourself when you just did it. You spent the whole weekend and now you look at it and you think, oh, this is not quite how I thought it was going to turn out based on that little chip, right?
Right. It is. It's hard. And that is part of the issue. It's like, it's a chip. Yeah. And you're thinking, oh, it'll be okay. But not so much all the time, right?
No,
so I think a consult is a great idea. I actually remember doing it with our mutual friend for outdoor exterior painting, because I'd been in a townhouse for about 7 years, but I think it was about 5 years in, I was like, it's time to change it, because I could. and I wasn't comfortable committing to a paint color.
No.
So it's amazing the eye that the designer has compared to the eye that I have. You don't see it. And it was what I originally thought isn't what I ended up with, but loved it.
Good. And
Yeah.
that's the important part, as long as you loved it. And again, it's the bit of knowledge behind it. So what a design professional knows is that when we're putting a color on an exterior, or putting it on a front door, or applying it to a garage door, something that gets a lot of light, then we need to go darker, typically, or more saturated in color, because it will become more washed out with the sunlight. Whereas inside, what we've been taught is with a tiny chip, it's always going to appear darker than it did on the chip. So we're working on opposite scales from indoor to outdoor. So it's very difficult to keep those things in mind when, again, it's not what you do every day. So
absolutely.
Put a lot of pressure on ourselves as clients, but then that's where you trust the designer to come in, and that's where we can come in and we can give you the knowledge and those little tidbits of info that are going to guarantee your success.
Absolutely. So based on your schooling, and even just based on client experience and listening to your clients.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes they don't know what you don't know. So it's you able to guide the conversation.
True.
Right. So where do we think what are the trends for this year? Are they changing? Do they change year over year?
So this is a good, you know what? They do change year over year. And you know what I'm going to do? If you're okay with it, Gail, I'm going to, let's see if I can do this here. I'm going to pop over. Do you have
I'm gonna make you the host.
You're gonna work your magic?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You are now the host.
I'm the host. Okay.
You're
perfect.
Hostess with the mostest.
So now if I do this, but I've lost you. Hang on.
Okay.
And you would think we practiced. Hang on. Okay. So now
that's technology, right? We wing it. We wing it. I love it. Yeah.
Isn't it? Share screen. Here we go. Boom. Let's see if I can do this. Can you see me?
I can see you, but I can also see that it's not in your presentation mode.
No, that's perfect. You can see all my slides, but you can see both of us, me and the slides.
Yes.
Here we go. Ready?
Amazing.
Work with me. It's coming.
Okay.
Open. Okay. Okay.
Yay! Okay.
So, yay. See, when you're a designer, you do design, not technology.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
You and me both, honey. I hear you.
Yeah, more than you know. So you asked, Gail. So I'm going to jump. You asked about trend colors.
I did, yeah.
So I'm going to touch on trend colors. So this is Benjamin Moore's 2020 trend colors. And so we're halfway through the year. But that's okay, because we're still doing things on trend. And like you said, because of the year being what it is and us being in a different situation, people are making changes more now than I think they might have any other year.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So what the paint companies do is every year they release their trend colors. And so what you're seeing here is a blend of colors, or a mix of colors rather, where we're doing something that is colors that are going to give you a little more vibrancy and a little more life than the classic neutrals, which I'll go over in a minute. But we always say, clients are always saying, what's the trim color? For years and years, we've been hearing people say cloud white, cloud white, cloud white. And it's a beautiful trim color, and we've used it for ages and ages. It's got a nice warm feeling, but you can see on the left the white heron. What's nice about that one is coming away from cloud white, because so many people are going to grayed out palettes, or even you'll see that these colors are very clear. We need something a little crisper. So what white heron offers us is something that is cool and crisp, but has kind of a subtle refinement. And that's perfect for trim to punch out with any of these colors. The next one, First Light, is kind of a pink. Not going to be everybody's thing, but
it's pretty though, isn't it? Yeah.
Isn't it? It's very soft, and it's uplifting, and it's refreshing. So it's a nice pink for that way. It's not overwhelmingly feminine, but it does give a touch of that if that's what you're after.
Perfect.
The next one, Crystalline, that one's pretty. It's a little bit more invigorating. It's a kind of a silvery jade tone, and so it gives us a little bit of effervescence. It's got a little bit of life, and that's a neat one if you're looking to bring a little bit of life to a room, but you don't want to go over the top. You don't want it to be too intense in color.
Perfect.
Windmill Wings. I love the names of some of these.
I was just thinking that too. That's
we always think they must drink a lot of wine when they come up with the names.
right? That's awesome.
Yes, but windmill wings, something a little more animated, right? It's kind of a playful periwinkle color,
Totally.
great for a kid's room, great for a fun space. Buxton blue, the next one, more calming, more easygoing. And then if I go down to the bottom, golden straw, we haven't seen warm golden yellowy colors like this in a little while being on trend. So this is a neat one because it's kind of a luminous cross between a honey and a cream that gives you the best of both.
Yeah.
And thunder, you're going to see that come up when we cover classic neutrals, but it is a great one because it floats between warm and cool. So like
absolutely.
You were saying, Gail, where one color can look, a paint color can look one shade on one wall and one shade on the other wall, you'd be amazed how thunder can warm up and cool down depending on the exposure of the space or what's with it.
Okay.
Cushing green, that's a neat one. Green is actually a
like that
trend color, isn't it nice?
Yeah, that is nice actually. I like that.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's almost got a bit of like does it feel like it's got a gray hue behind that?
It does. You're right.
Yeah,
the gray undertone is what takes it away from anything too minty or too sagey.
Yes.
But it's kind of an anchoring color. So it gives us that earthiness that tends to anchor a space, which is helpful.
Absolutely.
Oxford gray. That's a neat one. It kind of feels a little bit like a faded denim with a little bit of a purpley undertone.
Perfect. Yep.
And then blue Danube, we're coming into a bit of a jewel tone there, something a little more elegant and just a different direction, which is kind of neat. In case the others are soft, if you're looking for something with a little more impact, you might go to the blue Danube.
That's nice though. That's like they're really sharp colors this year.
They are, aren't they? And there's a mix. You don't always see a mix. Usually what we see looks a little more like this, where we're a little more blended and we're a little bit softer. And there's a few to mix in here and there, but they're kind of the same. And so this is the classic neutrals. So Oxford white that you're seeing in the top left, that's another one that it's one of my personal favorites for baseboards and trim and windows and doors, in that it gives a fresh punch. It's great with grays that are both warm and cool. And it's lovely on cabinets as well. If you're looking to paint a vanity or a kitchen cabinets, it's fabulous.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Okay.
Collingwood, the next one, that's a great one. We use that a lot for staging. It's balanced and it's kind of a light to mid-tone grayish. There's a buzzword for you, right? Grayish meaning between gray and beige.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's got a mix of warm and cool undertones too. So it's pretty versatile.
Perfect.
Swiss coffee is, if you're looking for something in a creamy white, but because it's got that yellowish gray undertone, it takes it away from anything that might look a little bit dingy. It keeps it fresh. So that's nice.
Perfect. Oh, and there's thunder again.
Thunder we've seen before. That's right.
Yeah.
Revere pewter, that's one that's been around for ages. And what we love about that, it works in various spaces, and depending on a room's exposure, it can appear to be kind of a mild green or even a cool gray.
Oh, interesting. And I feel like that I've heard that color quite a bit.
Yes.
So it must be a staple. Okay.
You have. It is definitely a go-to for sure, as is Edgecombe gray.
That's nice too.
And it's it's kind of grayishy, but it's between a gray and a beige. So it's something that is a little bit muddy, but it still has an airiness to it.
Yep.
Which is great. And Gray Owl, that's a fantastic one too, in that, again, it's gray-green, but it tends to flash a bit of blue.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So again, it tends to work well with south-facing rooms because of the gray-green or the blue flash in it. It tends to work well in that kind of a space. And I think you and I talked about Chantilly lace, didn't we?
We did. Yeah. That's quite the popular one, again, for kitchen cabinets too, isn't it?
Very much so, because it's crisp and it's clean and it's got a bit of a cool blue undertone. So there's no yellow undertones at all. So anybody who's had cabinetry that is kind of creamy in color and is looking for a really fresh, crisp look, that's a great way to go.
Oh, perfect. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow, these are nice. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot there. Oh, I jumped ahead.
Oh, that's okay. There is a lot, but you know what? I like the shades this year. That's nice. The golden straw is definitely different. I like that.
Isn't it? Yeah. Fresh. Fresh take.
And again, like you said, do people go from like one extreme to the other? Do you find that too, when they're just like, oh, I just need a change, I just want to go bold?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Especially when we
Yep.
see someone moving into a new home too. If they're coming from a certain look, they want to have a departure and take a different direction in their new home.
Yep.
Or if they're moving into someone else's colors. I've had a lot of times over the years where clients will say to me, when we came into this house, everything was pink, or everything was green, or everything was, pick a color. And they're tired of that. They're looking for a change. So what's nice about a palette like this is you can see all of those colors work beautifully together. They all give something very different.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you could definitely go, I could see matching some of those up.
Yeah.
I like. Good. Well, now that I'm in a new house, I'm like, look at that. Now it's, it's nice to get away from, like you said, from the other people's choice of colors. Not that there's anything wrong. It was very neutral, which was lovely going in, but it's nice to put your own spin on it, right?
Isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So now with that, a lot of people wonder, okay, well, where do we start? So if we're looking to redo a room, if we're looking to redesign or refresh, where do we start? So I thought I would give you a couple of tips on that, a couple of thoughts.
Awesome. Yeah.
Home. And then maybe you cover a few do's and don'ts and just go over some befores and afters to give some inspiration too.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay. So where to start? Easiest thing to do is
Good question.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Down,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Easiest thing is to start with a small space.
Okay.
It's always easier to tackle and achieve greater satisfaction with a small space. So if you start with a foyer or a mud room or even a powder room, it's a great place to start. And then your next step, your best thing is to identify challenges in the space. So what's working, what isn't? If things aren't working, if there's not enough seating for entertaining or the furnishings are uncomfortable, that's a good place for you to start, because that really is the core foundation of the room, is how is it functioning?
Right.
And if you find a new piece, then that's maybe what it will springboard from, but we'll touch on that again in a moment under inspiration.
Awesome.
Coming off of the challenges of the space, again, what are the functions? So are there changes that need to be made within the space? Maybe you need more storage, or maybe you need better lighting. That's another thing to look at as well.
Yeah.
And then an important factor is how you want the space to feel. What is the overall impact that you'd like to have? And it's amazing. We don't often think of feelings of spaces. We just look at a space sometimes and know as consumers, oh, I like the way that looks. But really what we're saying is, I like the way that might feel. I like the way I think that space would feel.
Right.
So what is your desired mood? So with these colors, some of them are a little more bright and lively, and that's going to be a more fun space. But if you're looking for something calm and serene, then you're going to go in the softer tones, and that's going to help create that feel too. Right?
Right. Now, do you find, is the saying still there that is it red in a kitchen and it's supposed to bring on hunger or something? Is that a myth? Is that a myth?
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
So color theory, if you go with a red or an orange, think about Harvey's, their corporate color is orange. That stimulates hunger and conversation. So for years and years, back when I first started too, dining rooms were red, right?
Okay.
And so it would keep people active and happy and at your table and stimulated, but you also made them hungry, so they tended to eat more. And that's an interesting thing. Funnily enough, too, red is a great color for front doors because it's eye-catching, and it captures attention, and it creates a focal point. So psychology of color is super important as well, and that's a great point. It really does impact, and we never put really electric colored walls in a child's room, because as lovely as it is,
could you imagine?
That's right. If you want them to sleep, it's not going to help, right?
I did that once with Kylie when she was little. It was like this yellow that was like, wow. I was like, oh, what did I do? Yeah.
And Gail,
I should have called you.
You're not the only one, because that golden straw that we're seeing right now on the screen, when I first started, I worked at a Benjamin Moore paint store, and clients would come in all the time and they'd pick out the most lemon yellow paint chip, like zingy. lemon.
I probably had that one. Yeah.
You probably did, because it's a beautiful color and we think bright, lively, happy, and cheery, right? Like
Right.
the color of an emoji.
Joy.
Sure.
Exactly.
But when it goes on those walls, my goodness.
Wow.
Nobody's
I know.
No.
I know. I know. She finally slept at the age of 12, so we're good.
Oh, there you go. No problem. 12 years.
No problem. No problem. And then, so what about, so red is hunger. So what about blues? Like, what is that? What's the theory behind that?
So blues typically have a calming and a serene feel, especially if they're grayed out or they're softer blues.
Right.
They tend to bring an element of calm. We associate them with the ocean and natural elements too. So that certainly pulls us in that direction. And again, if you think about even something in a midnight blue, or Benjamin Moore has a beautiful color called Hail Navy, dark, but again, very tranquil, dramatic, but still soothing. So it's all in the intensity too. It's really, really neat.
Now, does feng shui pop into that as well? Do some people believe in that?
I don't have a vast knowledge of feng shui. I do have some colleagues who are fabulous at what they do.
Oh, no kidding.
One colleague in particular, she's a good friend, and she does some amazing things and just phenomenal, and all about balancing and earth and wind and fire and metal, and it's amazing
and
stuff. Which
direction and all that stuff too, right? That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
But fortunately, I don't get into that. That's where we
that's a little that's what, right? That's where we tap in. Exactly.
Yes,
That's
you
awesome.
got it.
That's awesome.
I'm going to come back, Gail. I think too, one thing clients will say is, well, I kind of know what I want the room to look like, but I'm not sure how to put that on paper, or how do I convey that to someone?
Oh my gosh, I can totally relate to that.
You get it, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So the easiest thing to do is look at other spaces. So we say create a clip file of inspiration images. So whether you're on Houzz or Pinterest or even in magazines, find those images, and then you can show them to the team of professionals you're working with. And if you're working with a decorator or a designer, they're going to pick up the key elements that they're seeing. If you have 6 images that are all different, but something has drawn you to all of those, the designer or decorator is going to be able to pick up the common element. And that's how they figure out what you liked, even if you can't pinpoint what you liked. So a clip file or an inspiration file is hugely important, because that helps us get into your brain and even helps you figure out your own theme, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because there's so many things to look at, right? Like, oh my gosh. Yeah, because I've gone on Houzz, and Pinterest I'm a little attached to right now too. So it is overwhelming. And then next thing you look at your backyard ideas or whatever, and you've got like so many styles, but what's the common denominator?
That's right. You've got it.
That's awesome.
And so
that's awesome.
The exact same thing that someone in landscape design would do for you, right? They're going to look for the common element, and then they're going to tailor it to what your yard can handle. What is your exposure? What's going to live in your yard? And then they want to give you color and texture and variation. And we do the exact same thing on the inside of your home. Yeah.
Perfect. And then you also do that on the outside too.
I do. So I don't.
Which I know we were talking.
That's right. No, you're right. That's true. So we do. I do help with outdoor living spaces. We've seen a big trend in the last 5 years where people are creating outdoor full-on living spaces with kitchens and barbecues and so on. And we do a lot of patio furnishings, and it's really extending that space. Now for us as Canadians, it's a shorter time of year, but we're so desperate to get out there.
Agreed.
That's really what's making it an extension of our interior spaces, is we want to enjoy the outdoors just as much in the small period of time that we can. So,
and like you said, you want to tie them together, because you don't want to have something completely inside and you walk outside and it's like you're in a different somebody else's home, right?
That's
like,
right.
So
there's no flow.
Right. There's no flow.
That's key. Yeah. If your great room looks out onto your beautiful back living area, and your color scheme in your great room is, gray with orange accents, and then you're outdoor, you do something that's totally off the wall and total opposite color scheme, clashing colors. You don't want pinks and purples out there. It's not going to work. So looking at something that is cohesive, you don't have to match it to what you have on the inside, but it should be complementary if the two can be seen, just as you would treat to 2 adjoining rooms in your home. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's exactly what it is. It just happens to be outside, right?
Got it. You've got it.
Perfect. I just
Yeah,
feel like I remember back in the day, maybe it was because I was junior or naive, or it's your first home. You felt like every room had to be a separate color and
absolutely.
its own separate thing. Whereas now I find it's all blended. Like I find
True.
there's more, and I don't know if that's based on age. I don't know if that's just knowledge. I don't know, or I don't know how that happens.
You've tapped on two very important things there, because what happens,
Awesome.
you're so right, in that we used to go into homes too, and flooring was different in every room. You'd have a different
Right.
color of carpet in every room, broad
Yeah.
linen, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
anymore. Not anymore. So
No.
really what it is we're carrying the same flooring through a lot of spaces when we can. A lot of people will carry hardwood right through, even through to the kitchen.
Yeah.
They can vary wall colors too, but not necessarily to the extent that we used to. So when I look at this 2020 trend colors, and I say to you, you could use every color on the palette because they do work together, and you certainly could. But
Yep.
we, I think, are in an age where there's so much going on with technology, and life is just so busy. We're looking for simplified, and we're looking to unify things, and we're looking for flow and calmness and serenity. And with that tends to come a very similar color palette, a very neutral flow. And that's where we're seeing that
Amazing.
people are keeping things uniform. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. I get it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was thinking it because it made the property, like the space, look bigger as well, right? When it's all the one, because it's the flow. But
And
I
you're absolutely
absolutely
right.
I get the mental break on that too, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It does it
perfect.
for both. It does it on both hands. It does make it look bigger, but it also does give the brain a little time to
A
relax.
break,
Yeah,
because
that's
we know we
right.
need it. Yeah,
That's right. It's true.
absolutely,
You,
absolutely.
would you like to see some do's and don'ts?
I would love to. I
Or
need
don'ts and do's?
to
You
see
need
some do's and
to.
don'ts.
So I'm going to preface it, Gail, by saying the imagery that I use here,
Yep.
most of the do's will be my own. If they're not, I will let you know. And
Okay.
the don'ts are not my own, but I haven't labeled where the sources came from, because I don't want to shame anybody, because they're an
Fair
example of
enough.
what not to do. Okay. So just
I
to,
got you.
just to keep it light and add that disclaimer.
That is totally fair.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. So don'ts. Area rugs are
Okay.
tricky. And the example you see on the left, we see this a lot. And in fairness, you don't know what you don't know, like you said, Gail.
Absolutely.
The
And
area
that's exactly how I would know it to be.
Yes.
Years ago, not now, but years ago. Yeah.
True. But you're in the know now, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yay.
So on the left, it looks a little bit like an island or a postage stamp kind of floating under all of the furnishings.
Totally. Yes.
And on the right, same, because it's the wrong shape, right? So the grouping creates a bit of a rectangle. That shape of the rug is a round, the two don't match. So what we don't want you to do is to select an area rug that's too small and that only sits beneath the coffee table. What we do want you to do is have it extend underneath the furnishings.
Amazing.
And if like on the left, if it just goes under the front feet of the pieces and just slightly under, that's okay. If you want to go under all of the way, if the room is large enough that it balances, that's even better.
Awesome.
And clients will often say, usually if we're working with a couple, one of the two parties will say, well, we just put in all this gorgeous hardwood. I don't want to cover it all. Why would I do that?
That's exactly, right? Yes. Everyone says that. Yes, I hear you. Yeah.
And we get it. We don't want to cover the hardwood, but what we want to do is delineate the grouping in the space. So the option on the left gives you the opportunity to do that. And you'd see if the backdrop were hardwood, you've got a decent amount of that showing still.
Correct.
You still do on the right as well, but you've got a little more on the left. So that would be a better option for you if you really want to show off your flooring, right?
Perfect. So it's just, total preference on that. Yep. I got you.
You've got it. Artwork.
We talked about this.
If I had $1 for every time I walked into a home and the artwork was high, and because bless people's hearts, what some people will do is they stand up and whatever the height is that they can reach when their arm is fully extended, they put a nail and they put the hammer, and that's where the art goes. Right? You don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely. But I know that's a don't.
You know that's a don't. So the problem here is when we're placing artwork above a piece of furniture, above a headboard or above a sofa, the gap in between, the negative space in between takes our attention, as silly as it sounds. So what we do want to do is anchor the piece of artwork with the furnishing. So here you're seeing above a sofa, we've gone probably there. That's actually a nice tight space. I think we went about 4 inches there. And this one we're maybe about 6.
Yep.
piece is anchored, right? And that helps create a grouping. It's more cohesive and it's easier on the eye.
Perfect.
Now, if you don't have a piece of furniture to anchor it, what you don't want to do is float it too high, because then it's harder for the viewer to appreciate what they're looking at.
Absolutely.
So a rule of thumb is, even with high ceilings over 8 feet, the center of the artwork should sit about 60 to 66 inches from the floor. And we say that if you look at the couple on the right and we look at his eye level versus hers, we're sitting somewhere between the two. So we're keeping everybody happy around that height.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So that's if there was no furniture. Is that what you said?
You've got it. So if you were hanging a piece of artwork or a mirror or something in a space where the furnishings are not beneath it, that's a great example for you.
Amazing. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Don't mount your chandelier or your pendants too high above a tabletop.
Right.
And this is a tough one too, because a lot of times we're calling in a professional. We're paying an electrician for their time. And they show up and we've got the light fixture. And then as consumers, we think, oh no, what do I do? What's the right height here?
Now what? Yeah.
Now what? So you'll see in these two examples, we're sitting just that little bit too high.
Yep.
What we do want to do is sit about 30 to 36 inches above a table or a countertop.
Okay. Oh, for both. Okay.
You've got it. You've got
it. Okay.
And you'll see we're a little bit lower here above the dining table, because we're looking for the light to sit lower and we're creating a little more intimacy. We want to light the food for our guests. On the right, because we're in the kitchen and we have pot lights, when we design this for the client, the pot lights look after the task lighting, but the pendants, they're a little bit more ambient lighting. So we're just looking for mood there again too. So we could keep those a little bit higher, because they're not looking to illuminate the tasks the same.
That's amazing. Gosh, the things you don't think of. That's amazing.
That's it.
No.
Right. So simple, right?
Right. Yes.
Drapery wise, window treatment. So on the left, 2 points here because the drapery goes to the floor, which is great. What we want to do. But they look kind of tall and skinny. There's nothing wrong with tall and skinny. It's just on drapes. We don't want that. So,
right.
And on the right, we're doing the opposite. We're stretched out to capacity and we're sitting way up off the floor.
Correct. Yep.
These images, this is Hunter Douglas. If you've ever heard of Hunter Douglas window coverings, they make fabulous motorized shades. They make manual shades, beautiful drapery, motorized and stationary. These images are perfect.
Sorry, motorized drapery?
Motorized drapery. Yes.
I had no idea.
Yes. So if you have an expansive window and you don't want anyone touching the drapery, or for some reason you want it to be automated, perhaps you're in a media space and you'd like to be able to push a button and have the drapery close, then you can do that.
Amazing.
Yes. Okay. It's much more affordable than you think too, or than most people think. It's become more of a commodity than a luxury. So it's fabulous that way. But if you can see here, the drapery touches the floor.
Yeah.
And what they've done in this application, which is why I highlighted it, is because they've got a little bit of a gap here, they've gone as high as they can, and that makes the room feel so much taller.
You can feel it. Yeah.
You can. It pulls the height right up. Yeah. In this application, they've kept the drapery lower to the window. Now, where that wouldn't necessarily be the preference, I don't know what's happening above. And if that ceiling goes quite high, then that's an instance where we do want to keep a little bit lower. We can't have the drapes go too far over the window. Otherwise, again, our eye focuses on that negative space that we've created between the drapery hardware and the top of the window.
Okay, makes total sense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
So, when we're in the bedroom space and we're looking at balancing out what's happening with the bed, the headboard, the artwork, something we see a lot are tiny little lamps. And the reason tiny little lamps are a problem is because, again, from a task standpoint, if you're sitting in bed and you're reading a book, you want that light level to be hitting you somewhere around where you're holding the book or even where your line of sight is. And you can see in these examples, the lamps, these first two, the lamps are quite small.
Yeah.
And in this one, the headboard is quite a bit taller than the lamp. So from a balance standpoint, the preference would be to have you do something that either sits a little bit taller than the headboard so that when you're seated in bed,
Yeah.
That's at a good
Oh,
eye
look
level
at
for
that.
you. Or
Okay.
here where you're just stepping down just a tiny bit.
Right.
Okay.
I need new lamps. This is fantastic. Thank you.
You're going to have a list?
Amazing.
I don't know. I think
I'm
you'd be
so
pretty well, yeah.
excited.
That's right. You're going to have a list.
I'm just going to watch
Bookshelves.
this a few times.
For all of our avid reader friends out there, books are great. Love books, but you see how busy they look, right?
Totally.
So this is where something where you've got some concealed storage is perfect. You can tuck some books in there, but really from a decor standpoint, what we'd rather see you do is balance out, and this is a staging example, so they're all the same color, but even if they're various shades, balance out a mix of books and decor items. And if you don't have books and you have just decor items, we'd like you to vary the shapes and sizes of those items to create some visual interest and give you something that doesn't look as busy, but gives you an opportunity to focus on each item versus feeling overwhelmed.
Perfect. I love that little nook. That's awesome.
Good. Yeah. It's
that's
a
beautiful.
great opportunity to showcase lots of different textures and things.
Oh, for sure.
So now the fun part.
I know.
Although not the rest hasn't been fun, it certainly has. But before and afters. Those are always fun to see where, I think it's neat to see where a space came from and where it ended up and how it got there. This was beautiful, fabulous clients that I've had for a number of years, and they're such a lovely, lovely family to work with. And they had this piece of artwork that they purchased, and the room had been like this, I think, for about 10 years. They were looking for a change. You can see the sofa, it's a little bit of wear and tear, and so what we ended up doing was taking that piece of artwork and making it the inspiration for the space.
That's beautiful. Like, that is a beautiful piece. I can see why. Yeah, absolutely.
A nice original painting, but what they did say was, even though the background of this piece is dark, we don't want the space to be dark and heavy. We want it to have a light feeling overall. So what we ended up doing, you'll see the artwork here in the corner, was we brought in the red in touches, we brought it in the upholstery, under the coffee table rather, there's two ottomans there that can be pulled out. They're in a red print as well. You can see them in this image.
Right.
The room is neutral. It's light and bright, but the red is injected selectively. So
that doesn't even look like the same space.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, and it
honestly looks like
a fireplace. Yeah,
I'm blown away. That does not even look like the same space. Holy smokes, that's
good.
That's beautiful.
That's
beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So this is another great example of a kitchen. Kitchen was fine, but, and you know the scale from your kitchen, so we're looking at a gap here, right? And when the builders build homes, or when they built them back in this time, they'd put in a bulkhead and typically take the cabinets right up to the bulkhead, and the bulkhead would be bigger. And that was for a couple of reasons. Sometimes there's ductwork that happens in there. A lot of times it's just to save cost on the cabinets, because a 36-inch upper is less expensive. So what we're looking at here is wasted space.
Totally.
And the client said, you know, we have this dining area here, but we don't sit here and eat. So they wanted to make it more usable, and they like the idea of a larger island, and we'll get to that in a moment. But the inspiration, the image on the left shows us the range hood. We've got a lovely wolf cooktop there, beautiful wall ovens, and it's light, it's bright, it's airy.
Yes.
And we ended up choosing a gorgeous quartz.
That is nice. Yep.
And some fabrics. And this is what we ended up with.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So what happens there is we've given them, this island is actually shaped in a little bit of an angular shape. And it comes into that dining space where that table used to be.
Right.
And now the only thing happening over in that space is a little floor mat from a functional standpoint, because this is the in and out to their pool area and their beautiful backyard. But we were able to do something here that gave them quite a transition, and opened everything up. Lighter, brighter cabinets go right up. We had to keep a bit of bulk because we had a duct that ran above the doorway.
Gotcha.
But beyond that, it feels seamless now, right? There's no gap.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's beautiful.
It's a big change, isn't it?
Absolutely. I love these before and afters. These are so fun.
Thanks, Gail. I love your
Right?
enthusiasm. Yeah.
I do. I love just even seeing like how I just went through it. Like I've seen it from where it was through the process, and we're not at the end yet, but we're close. But it's mesmerizing. It's rewarding. There's reward in this for you.
You're
There's
right.
fulfillment in this, isn't there?
You're so right. There's gratification, isn't there? Because
Absolutely.
we're seeing a space transform, and that's the fun part.
Totally.
This was an office space. Again, nice high ceilings, nice amount of space. It feels like a small room, but wait till you see the after. Part of why it feels so small is just, it's the color, it's the way that the furniture is laid out, and there's so much that open wall that's not being used.
I was just thinking that there's so much, there's so much wasted space, for lack of a better word, right? Yeah.
This was the inspiration.
Okay.
And
so
I
thought that was a space. I was
no,
that's beautiful though.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So this is the inspiration. What we had to do a little differently though is lovely and spacious, deceptively spacious. The actual space this is larger. So what we didn't want to do was we didn't have space for the client to sit at a separate desk and face outwards like this. So that eliminated this portion of the design. But what we really loved was the storage combination, the ability to display items, and then a little window seat over here.
Oh, that's nice.
And we found a piece of artwork that we loved. So we took this idea and started to design with this artwork, and this is where we ended up. So adapted based on the space. We've got the artwork, we've got a beautiful area rug, we do have that window seat, we've got printer storage over here, lovely window coverings. We've made the room feel just as tall, but we've given the client all of this functional storage now and some decorative accessories as well.
That is beautiful. I love the rug.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really good. That's a nice compliment to the painting. That's nice.
Yeah, it's a nice organic feel, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, upper hall. Right? What do you do with your upper hall? It's a transitional space. It's between bedrooms. The client had a bench here that they didn't use, and they felt they didn't need to have displayed there anymore. But they did love their light fixture, and please excuse the burnt out bulb. It did get replaced, you'll see. So we ended up using that as the inspiration because it had almost an Asian feel in its design and a contemporary feel. And then we found this artwork, and we were really pleased with that and how it would work. Knew that it wouldn't be enough. We needed a larger piece or more pieces. So this is what we ended up doing was we purchased 2 groupings and we created a custom grouping.
That's awesome.
And then we added a sideboard and a piece of artwork. And just gave some purpose. So there's a bit of storage there, and it now gives you something to focus on.
And you did paint, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I'm like, there was a paint color change there, right? Because that's nice. Yeah. That's almost like, it reminds me of, I want to say pistachio or something.
Yeah, it does. You know what?
Yeah, that's nice. It's got that feel,
It's got a little bit of a green undertone, doesn't it? Yeah.
That's nice, yeah. Wow, what a difference. Holy smokes. Wonderful.
And you know what, too? And we look at things, and sometimes spaces aren't so bad, but to the homeowner, they feel outdated and they're ready for a change. And this one too, they had had a lovely paint finish done years and years and years ago, and paint finishes have gone out of style now. So it's time for a change here. You can see they had done something kind of funky back in the day, and it had served them well. But what they wanted was lighter, brighter, and even something a little more classic. Nice. So inspiration wise, we found this image and felt it was a little bit too busy for what we were after, but liked the classic element of the black and white wall covering, and loved the idea of a vanity that would give them a great amount of storage, and felt a little bit contemporary, but with a kind of a classic element.
Perfect.
And so what we ended up with was a geometric print and a really fun piece of artwork, a beautiful custom created vanity, and we did a hammered, what's the word I'm after? It's a copper sink, but this one's finished in a steel finish, and it looks beautiful.
Wow, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a showpiece.
And that's a big thing that's coming back is wallpaper.
Yes. Big time.
Right? We're really seeing that, aren't we? Yeah. Now, is it hard to find people to do wallpaper compared, like painter decorators, compared to painting, or no?
No, you know what, you're right. A lot of people, what professionals don't like to do for sure is strip wallpaper. We know that. Nobody wants to strip
Okay.
wallpaper. It's a
Nobody,
terrible job.
homeowners included. Yeah.
That's right. So true. Once you've done it once, it's off the list. In
Absolutely.
terms of application, I'm fortunate. There are a few trade professionals who are licensed, insured, they're bonded, all of those good things, and they do a fabulous job. That's key in that
Excellent.
matching it up and making sure that it doesn't shrink back once it's dry. And especially if you're using a dark wall covering, the walls often need to be primed a dark color underneath so that if it does shrink a little, we don't see white seams.
Right.
But there are some trade professionals out there for sure. So that's where I'd say, if you're in doubt, you don't want to do it yourself. We used to say hanging wallpaper together was grounds for divorce. So it may not be a task you want to tackle with your
Not right now.
No.
Right. Not right now.
Ask your design professional who they work with, because we'd be happy to refer somebody who's going to do a great job, because you can't make mistakes with that. It's not, you can't recover from that, right?
No, right.
No.
It's not like another coat of paint that you got to paint. Yeah.
That's right.
I got you.
That's right. That's right. And then this was, so sometimes we don't have any inspiration. Sometimes we have a space that needs help. And with that, we know what needs to happen, and we just select finishes and we go and we create a new design. So that's what ended up happening with this space.
Wow.
We needed new function. We knew it was going to be a tight space here, but we worked with it, and we were able to create a little bit of color and a little bit of interest in the accessories. And we've got a beautiful functional space.
That's beautiful. It'd make you want to do laundry. Awesome.
That's the goal. Or at least make you enjoy the time that you're
enjoy
in
it.
Right? You may not want to, you may not be desperate to get in there, but at least you're okay. Once you're in there, you're not desperate to get out.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's so bright. Good.
Yeah. That's the key. I think we're really seeing a theme of light and bright, open and airy. If you love dark cabinetry, if that is what you want, absolutely, we can make that happen for you. A design professional can help you do that, create that look so that it suits you. If you're thinking of resale, then we might steer you in a bit of a different direction. Like you said, when you came from your past home, the cabinets were darker and you were looking for a change, and you've gone lighter here. So it just depends what you want and what your plan is. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Now, do people change after, is there like an average in terms of how long people stay with one design? Like, do they stay, is it like, do they get the 7-year itch, for lack of a better word?
It's funny that you should pick 7. So we say 7 to 10 years, right?
Ah, there you go.
But 7 seems to be, funny that 7-year itch seems to be what happens, because not only is there a bit of wear and tear, but depending on what the pieces are, even if you've selected a beautiful custom sofa and you've got high quality foam and feather and down, whatever the fill is, it's going to take a bit of a beating. And even if you look after it well, after 7 years, either it's going to start to show some wear and tear, or you're maybe growing tired of the look. You've got that 7-year itch. So we find people will give a space maximum
7 to 10
years. Yeah, 7 to 10. You got it.
Okay, that's awesome. And the nice part is, so let's say you want to even use these beautiful cabinets, so or kitchen, any sort of cabinetry. Most people think you have to all of a sudden get new ones. You can actually just get them repainted.
Absolutely.
Right? I know.
Yep, you're so
change
right.
the heart and the hardware.
True. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. And what a difference that makes. And because more often than not, the style of the door is just fine. It looks great. You're just tired of the finish or the color. Or maybe, again, it's a wear and tear thing. If it is a wood finished door, over time, the oils from people's skin and wear and tear where people are grabbing the door hardware tends to wear the finish away. So it might just need a fresh coat of paint or even a fresh stain if that's the look you're after.
Fantastic. So, but again, it's not knowing what to do, and it's talking to your professionals.
That's it.
I know. I feel like we kind of say that a lot, but it really is true. And I find, because back in the day, when you've, like we're saying, I painted all the different rooms, all the different colors, but, or you did it yourself, or you would go and pick something out. And then maybe because you're like, I don't want to spend that extra $500 to do that. But meanwhile, it's actually potentially not cost you $1,000 to $1,500 because you thought you were saving and cutting corners, when in the end you probably would have saved in the long run, right?
It happens.
It does. I think that's a live and learn thing. Yeah.
True. We've all been there, right? Where
Yeah.
we think we can save it on the front end and then we realize and that it happens. But know that if it does happen and you get caught in the middle, there are people you can call to help as well, which is good to know.
Absolutely. And it's not as cost effective. It's not as expensive as
No.
people are like. I think that's the biggest thing is people get caught off with the expense attached to it as well, right?
True. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And because design, it's not tangible, right? It's advice
Right.
from someone. So it's not a physical thing that you have. It's not a tangible item. But I
Right.
think if you've ever made an error or if you've ever benefited from help from a designer decorating professional, you start to see the value very quickly and you understand why you need it. And it's, again, like we said, like any other professional, people can sell their own homes through some of the services that are out there, and that's great if that's the way they choose to go, but there are so many little tips and tricks and an abundance of knowledge that a real estate professional brings to a transaction. You're going to get so much more from it, and you're safeguarded against pitfalls, and it's the same with design.
Totally agree. Yes. Totally agree. And like we're saying, and then we can just take all this outside kind of thing, and try to blend the two, right?
That's right.
So do you also advise or give advice like for landscaping design or what?
I do not.
Okay.
I have some great landscaping professionals that I've referred to clients over the years who do a fabulous job. I'm not a green thumb. I don't. I don't have any of that kind of knowledge. I can tell you it looks good, but it might die after a while. So,
so you make it look. You do the finishing touch with the prettiness of the furniture. That's right. where you got your guide and the color schemes and such.
You've got it. We enhance with the living spaces that sit on top the hardscapes, and then the landscapers, they design the hardscapes and the softscapes, and everything works cohesively. And that's again strength of a team, right?
Absolutely. And that's what just makes the world go round. I said that with my contractor. It was like, we just keep doing this one property at a time, right? Let's talk. Let's we worked well together, and it's like, and then it becomes the referring off too, right? Just like we work well together too. So thank you.
Fabulous. Well, thank you very much, Gail.
Oh, my pleasure, honey. So anybody who wants to get a hold of you for any questions, advice, remodeling, redecorating, home staging, anything, how are they getting a hold of you?
So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Checks in the mail. I'll send you a check. So it's Burloak Home Staging and Design, and I am Allison Donnelly, and you can find me at www.burloakhomestaging.ca. My website is currently under construction because I'm spending a lot of time in the business and not on the business, but I will get there. But I'm happy to send images of anything that you would find on a website regularly, and happy to provide a list of services and even referrals. That's the biggest thing, and I'll be kicking up the social media soon, but the best thing would be, that, or even email is a great way to find me too, and you can do all of that through the website.
Yeah, and that's Allison at Homestaging, or Burloak Homestaging. .ca. Yeah, two L's
and an I.
Two L's, yes. I have a girlfriend who's one L. You're the two L, so there we go.
That's it.
So that's awesome. Thank you. I totally enjoyed this. I love your before and afters. It is real. It's motivating. And lots of great advice there. So thanks for joining us tonight. And I look forward to doing this again.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the opportunity again for myself and all of us doing this. It's a great thing that you're doing. You do a wonderful job. You make it very easy and very interactive. And it's always nice to see your smiling face. So thank you.
Oh, ditto, darling. Okay, perfect. Thank you. You might have to, you're in control, so you're going to have to shut us down. How's that?
That is such a dangerous move. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think I can do this. Ready?
There you did it. Okay, good. Wonderful.
Thank you, Gail.
Thanks, honey. Alrighty, I'll talk to you later.
Have a great one.
Thank you. You too. Good night.
Bye.